Hey folks, thank you for being with me this Friday morning. You know, I'm excited when you look at this Operation Hot Dirt because we seized the most fentanyl in the history of the Polk County Sheriff's Office, 5 kilos. Now that's not something we brag about. The question is, why is there 5 kilos of cocaine to seize? Why is there any fentanyl to seize? Why is there any fentanyl to seize? You know, it's not bad enough that we got cocaine and methamphetamine. We got all kinds of illegal drugs. We got opioids, and then we've got fentanyl, which is a synthetic opioid. And we're going to spend a lot of time today rolling out the problem. Not only in Polk County is where we were able to make this seizure, but it's because we work with our colleagues. And I have standing with me today, Brandon Seeley, who's the group supervisor for FDLE. Come on up here. But I want to start out and kind of give you a little history of why we are where we are. This, folks, this is the San Miguel Town Hall, City Hall. And if you look closely, you can see there are a lot of bullets peppered throughout City Hall. This is the funeral and burial of one of the folks that was in the City Hall. They killed 20 people in the City Hall. 20. Did you hear what I said? And you said, oh my gosh, who did something like that? Well, I can tell you that it was the Jalisco cartel. Now here's a close-up, okay? Do you see the amount of bullets that was shot into this town hall? And this is during a business day why people are trying to take care of business in San Miguel. So at the end of the day, you see a town hall shot up. You see burial of some folks that were in the town hall. And you go, what's that got to do with your seizure today? Well, actually, it has everything to do with our seizure today. Because people want fentanyl or opioids, Mexico is providing them. How are these opioids, this fentanyl, getting here? Across the border, the porous border. Now, folks, last year alone, our last complete year of data, 107,662 people in the United States died of a drug overdose. 80,810 of those 107 deaths were opioids or synthetic opioids, fentanyl. Cocaine kills you. Methamphetamine kills you. But unless you have a horrific overdose, it kills you over time. It doesn't kill you DRT, dead right there. An overdose of fentanyl kills you DRT. This much fentanyl is a lethal overdose. Now you extrapolate that amount in your mind over 5 kilos or almost 11 pounds of fentanyl that the HIDTA team, our sheriff's office, FDLE, Border Patrol, our state attorney's office working together, we seized this amount of drug, the most ever seized in the county. The drug is coming across the border in a greater amount than ever. In fact, we are told by some of the heroin growers, the poppy growers that convert their poppies to heroin, that they're seeing a lesser amount of heroin, being able to sell a lesser amount of heroin from their poppies because the opioid has increased. The market has changed. Folks, listen to me. Listen to me clearly. 80,000 people died of an opioid overdose. What would we be doing if any other country, pick one, Russia, China, spread a new disease here and killed 80,000 people in 1 year? That's what Mexico's doing to us. And they're doing it through an open border that everybody wants to make a political event over. The criminals are no fools. There's 3 groups in Mexico. 2 of them are allies. This cartel, Jalisco cartel, is messing up the deal. Sinaloa cartel and the Familia Michoacan, that's Polk County spelling or pronunciation, are allies. So now you got the Jalisco cartel. They're the ones that shot up the city hall. Since the current president of Mexico has been in place, 18 mayors have been killed. When they shot up the city hall in San Miguel, they killed the mayor. They also killed his dad. We do a pretty darn good job so far of keeping that kind of rampage south of the border. But if you open this border, like they're opening this border, they're bringing the product up here. When does that kind of activity move across the border? Because it will. Well, we're sitting here in our comfortable offices in Congress and in the White House, not worrying about it. Kind of like the congressional group, both Republicans and Democrats. The White House didn't worry as long as they were rioting in Portland and Seattle until they got to the Capitol building. Then it was a problem. It was a problem the whole time. If they continue to set in the position they are and continue to allow this fentanyl to come across the border, we're going to continue to have hundreds of thousands of people die needlessly. The end user doesn't understand, doesn't care where it comes from. But at the end of the day, it's not something to brag about that we've seized 5 kilos of fentanyl. It's really a sad state of border security affairs. So what do? They get this across the border and then they stamp it with pill presses. This is supposed to be a M30 blue oxycodone pill. It's made to look like the legitimate pills. You buy this on the street, you think, hey, somebody's ripped off a pharmaceutical. No, this is fraudulent. This is this raw fentanyl that's come from Mexico that went to someone's lab where they pressed a pill to look like a legitimate pill, and they're giving it to your child or a child near you. And they're dying. DRT. every day by the hundreds in this country. Why aren't people concerned? This is how it's coming to us, among other forms. So who are the folks? Let me introduce you to these folks that were involved in this. Ignacio Rodriguez, he's 28 years old. He delivered the 5 kilos. And here's what it came in. A child's cereal box. 2 kilos were in the box. 3 kilos were in the cooler. That's right. Think about that for a minute. Borrowed the kids' Captain Crunch box to deliver the fentanyl. He delivered it. But let me introduce you to 2 of his counterparts. This is Mario Castro Salachi. He's 29. He's a money courier. He's the one that picks the money up for the two gangs that are friendly and makes sure that it gets back to Mexico. He lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. He wants to establish the fentanyl drug pipeline into Polk County for Central Florida. We stopped that. Our detectives, who are the very best, working with the Border Patrol, who is fighting this border crisis not only at the border but all over the United States, was with us, as well as FDLE. They're the best in the business. But you know what? He's here illegally. Did you hear what I said? He's here illegally. He doesn't have a driver's license, so he has a driver. Pedro Mondragon, he's 27. He's a U.S. citizen, and he's got a driver's license. So he is Mario's driver. So he says, come on, Mario, boom, boom, boom. We're going to go to Polk County from Manatee County and deliver drugs. And then Mario says, great. And I'll get the money, and we'll go down to the nearest area and wire this back to the Sinaloa cartel. Oh, they can't take the money today anyway because they're busy warring with the Jalisco group who just shot up San Miguel. That's happening every day. We are fueling that war in the United States when we buy their fentanyl, their cocaine, their methamphetamine. And you know, I'm not going to let the marijuana people off. They're also lacing fentanyl in marijuana. So when your kid goes out this weekend and he thinks he's getting him some marijuana, and that's all, he may be getting a deadly overdose of fentanyl to go along with it. Pedro said he wanted to be a police officer one day. That's amazing to me. So we're here today to announce the largest seizure ever. I'm here to tell you there is a direct nexus to warring gangs in Mexico. They sell methamphetamine, they sell cocaine, they are mainlining fentanyl into the United States and killing your children. Are there any questions?
Did these guys have priors, any of them, in Polk County or in the state of Florida?
In the United States, one of them, our driver, has a previous DUI. And you know why he's got the DUI? He hit a deer, and he pulled over to the side of the road and called law enforcement to report his vehicle crash. The other 2 don't have any criminal history in the United States. Well, folks, think about it. If you're from Mexico, and we don't know if they've got criminal history down there, if you're from Mexico and you cross the border to bring drugs and to transfer money back. It's a mess. Raleigh, North Carolina is the hub for this group. Raleigh, North Carolina. And then the drugs came to Bradenton, and we worked with the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. But the reality, folks, is while people are trying to come across the border, even though illegally, but to improve themselves and their family, the cartels are taking advantage of that. And they're bringing their fentanyl and their methamphetamine through. Why Border Patrol's busy with this volume of people? It's got to stop. That 5 kilos of cocaine is capable of overdosing and killing 2.7 million people. I want you to look at this chart. That 5 kilos of fentanyl, I keep calling it methamphetamine because they lace it. That 5 kilos of fentanyl, it doesn't have to be mixed. Sometimes it's in a pill with inert ingredients. Sometimes it's mixed with meth. Sometimes it's mixed with cocaine. Sometimes it's mixed with marijuana. But that 5 kilos is capable of killing everyone in that many counties, wiping out everyone. 2.7 million people. That's how deadly this fentanyl is. I don't know what we have to do to get people's attention. First, the user at the bottom end, you keep using fentanyl, you're going to die. And you're not going to die of old age. And there's 80,000 opioid deaths to prove that in the United States. But the power players are people in Congress, our federal power players, the president. If you don't stop this, you're helping kill a lot of kids and a lot of people in this country that shouldn't die. We can only do so much at the local level, but we've got to rain terror down, not only on the illegal cartels. They have no rules. They'll kill 18 mayors. They'll shoot up city halls. We don't want that here, but that's a normal event in Mexico. But if we keep letting it leak across and leak across and leak across, and the drug floods across, eventually that will be here.
Grady, is fentanyl something that dealers put into weed, for example, to make it more marketable, or is it something that people actually go out, hey, that drug has fentanyl, like do people actually know they're taking it?
They usually buy the cannabis knowing it's laced with fentanyl. At least that's how they normally market it. But they get it by mistake. Or they get stoned and they get their piles of drugs mixed up. So they're pressing this fentanyl to make it look like oxycodone, legitimate pills. They are dusting it through meth, through cocaine. They're dusting it through cannabis, and then they're selling it and marketing it because it gives them a stronger high and a more powerful high. And they're looking for that ultimate high. Well, they're getting it. 80,000 of them got it last year out of 107,000 that died. But we got to work together. It breaks my heart to think that anyone dies of a drug overdose. And we're doing our part in law enforcement. But the brothers and sisters in law enforcement could use some help. Yes, sir.
I'm seeing reports of this stuff making it into candy as well. And you got Halloween coming up. Do you have any tips or something for parents to look out for this kind of thing?
Sure.
Candy and stuff.
First off, I haven't seen any of this mixed with candy or Halloween candy. But the basic tip for Halloween is if it's not sealed and wrapped up, don't let your kids have it. But what I have seen is the marijuana gummies laying around, the gummies laced with methamphetamine laying around, and the kids accidentally picking it up in the house. But my point simply is to say I'm very proud of my detectives who are simply the very best in the business, my undercover folks. And we're looking for the opportunity to take off more drugs. And in my relationship with the FDLE, and we have Nicole Orr from the state attorney's office here. She's the lead prosecutor in these cases, and she's going to do her part. So at the end of the day, we've got the team working here. But dadgummit, people have got to wake up and understand that stuff is pouring in on us across the border, and it's killing our people. And there are gang wars over the market south of the border.
Where was the lab that pressed the fake counterfeit blue pills?
It doesn't have to be a lab. It can be someone who buys a pill press, and you can buy them online. So it's not always a lab. It's somebody in their dadgum bedroom that have bought a pill press. And can you imagine determining whether you live or not is, okay, here's your M30s, and the guy who's putting the fentanyl in with the inert ingredients, he's stoned tonight. And that's what we typically see. When we see one fentanyl death here, we usually see 2 and 3 and 4 close together. What happened is an overdose amount got mixed into that drug got sent down from the traffickers to the sellers to the customers, and we see 2 or 3 or 4, and then it goes away. And then a week or two, a month later, we see 2 or 3 or 4 die again. We've got another overdose amount. So it's not a structured lab as we would think in the real world.
We have a history, and there's press reports of this cartel in Florida and in Polk County. What is your agency doing to address this cartel particularly?
Well, we got 3 of them in jail. We investigate these cartel people every day. Every day. And we not only investigate them here, we try to track them back to Mexico. How much luck do you think we get extraditing cartel members when they're killing mayors 18 at a time? How you got to get someone to deal with them, take them in custody when we identify them and get them to us. And that happens. But we were working a large meth operation a few years ago. And while we were down there with our undercover operatives in Mexico, they cut the head of the police chief off. That slowed things down a while. So my point is, these are very violent gangs, and if you get in their way, they murder you. They shoot up the entire city hall. Folks, this is not just people coming across the border because they want to do better for their community or for their family and their community. This is organized criminals that are flooding their fentanyl and their methamphetamine and their cocaine through the border. And dadgummit, we've got to make a political issue out of it where if this political party wants to stop it, then that one thinks we shouldn't. And that is wrong, wrong, wrong. Shame on all of you. They ought to toss all your butts out of office and get some people in there that want to protect that 80,000 people that are dying of an opioid death, or those 107,000. Any other questions? I can't think of another way to badmouth these guys, but if y'all help me out, I'll try. Y'all have a good weekend, and know this. We're going to protect your children. We're going to arrest these traffickers. We're going to send them to prison for a long time. But you know what we've done here? We've taken the competition away from another set of traffickers. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Was there, did somebody have a question of the, on the Bonnet Springs Park Cap
Yeah.
program? Okay, sure, you have a minute. You want to do that now?
Sure.
Do you want to do it up here or just? All right.
Just focus it in so it's, we don't have any of that. Well, here, let's get all this out of the way. We don't want any of that associated.
Zoom in on you.
You
Okay.
Zoom in, okay.
What do you want to know about Bonnet Springs?
So you were having people or volunteers come out there, can you just talk about that program?
Sure.
And how it's going?
We have volunteer folks that we call Citizens Assisted Patrol, and they are out there, and they're going to be volunteering at Bonnet Springs Park. It's the largest and greatest park in Polk County. The credit goes to Barney Barnett and Carol Jenkins Barnett, who passed away, unfortunately. The two of them have the largest heart and philanthropic leaders of this county, and they have underwritten this beautiful, beautiful park, and it's free. It's totally free. We anticipate millions of people are going to come to this park every year. The grand opening is this weekend. They took an area that was purchased from the railroad, reconstructed this large area that has been abandoned for years and years and years into one of the most remarkable parks that you'll ever see. They went around the nation and the world looking at parks and what works. It was our honor to be a part of that. In fact, one of the fundraising opportunities was for us, for every member of the sheriff's office that reached their, what we call their full-term retirement. We put a brick in the park for each one of them. For every one of our deputies that lost their life in the line of duty, we put a bench in the park. And that's just a minuscule donation when you look to see what all of the people of Polk County and around Florida and the nation have done. If you get a chance, come see the park. It's fantastic. And we're going to have volunteers there every day helping out at no cost to the park, because it's the right thing to do and because we have the greatest community in the entire world here.
You were looking for people to kind of police that park and like security guard?
Well, it's really not security guard, it's Citizens Assisted Patrol. What they do, they're the eyes and ears for the sheriff's office and the police department. And they volunteer. We put them through a course, we give them their star shirt, they are in our patrol vehicle, and they get to enjoy the park and create an environment, an uplifting environment. They also have the carts that they drive will transport people. So if you get out in the park and you tucker out, we'll get you a ride back free. You don't have to call an Uber. So it's the most awesome thing. And yes, we're accepting volunteers to work specifically on that project at the Bonnet Springs Park. So if you say, hey, I would like to donate, but I don't have money, or you're retired and you have some time, we can create an environment where you'll be uplifted and feel good. You'll help everything from children to senior citizens enjoy the park, and we'll make all that possible for you, and you'll make a wonderful experience available for the community. Think about it. This massive park with all kinds of stuff to do, free. They don't even charge you to park. That's cool. It's going to be fun.
What types of things and what type of training program do you go?
Well, the training program is only, what, 8 hours? One day. It's a one-day program where we teach you what to do, and a lot of what we teach you is what not to do. If you happen to see something that needs reporting, we want you to report it. But we don't want you in there tussling with someone at 70 years old and retired. That's not a good thing. But it's an 8-hour training. We have a really good time in the training program, and then you're a member of the, volunteer member of the sheriff's office, and you can work exclusively in the park, or you can work in your neighborhood if you're in one of the CAPS neighborhood. It's up to you. But it is a fantastic opportunity, and my goodness, I'm so proud, not just for Lakeland, but for Polk County and Central Florida, because we have a fantastic, the best park in the entire county, the best park in Central Florida in my estimation, right here in Lakeland, close to the interstate, close to the parkway, easy access, and you will have a great time.